just wait until we finish dealing with certain circumstances. And then after that's out the way, we got to keep everything behind and just look forward to the future. As you said, and listen to JoJo's story, everybody go through something. But that's what's going to make them who they're going to be in the future and whatnot. He could go any coach in the world that he wanted to go to.
So first of all, Tank, this is the Tank era. When did this era start?
Probably like a little over a year ago. Or a little under a year.
Coach Calvin Ford has finally addressed why Gervonta Davis decided to leave his team, giving fans a better understanding of the split. His comments reveal that there was more going on behind the scenes than many people realized, making Tank's recent decisions and career changes seem even more significant.
Right in front of our face, and everybody feeling it, so I want to see what's the next way.
Calvin Ford was one of the biggest influences in Gervonta Davis's career, helping shape his skills, guide his development, and build the fighting style that made him one of boxing's most dangerous champions. So when Tank began training with different coaches, fans immediately started asking what really happened behind the scenes. That is why Calvin's recent comments carry so much weight. This is about more than just changing gyms. It is about trust, personal growth, control, and whether Tank believed he needed a fresh voice to take the next step in his career. Now the discussion has become even bigger. Did he leave because he wanted to improve, or because something within the team had stopped working? Whatever the reason, boxing fans pay close attention whenever Calvin Ford speaks. Adding even more intrigue, Jose Benavidez Sr. shared a post revealing a major change in Tank's camp, confirming that Gervonta Davis is now training with him, marking the end of Tank's longtime partnership with Calvin Ford.
9, 8, 7, power, 6, 5, power, 4, power, 3, 2, one more.
The news quickly grabbed attention because Calvin Ford was much more than a trainer to Gervonta Davis. He played a huge role in building Tank into one of boxing's biggest stars, helping shape his style and guiding his career from the beginning. So when Jose Benavidez Sr. revealed that Tank was now training with him, fans immediately started asking what led to the change. Was Tank simply looking for a fresh voice, a new environment, or was this part of a bigger plan before his next fight? That is why this move is so significant. Tank is not just changing his training routine, he is surrounding himself with a different team at a crucial point in his career. GTD Promotions later added more context, explaining that the split was not personal but a business decision. They said Tank made the choice because he wants to focus on building his legacy, improving as a fighter, and securing the biggest fights possible. That explanation changes how many fans view the situation, showing that the decision was driven by career goals rather than bad feelings toward Calvin, who remains a major part of Tank's success. Meanwhile, Boxing Massacre shared a much stronger opinion, arguing that Jose Benavidez Sr. could help improve Tank's mindset and discipline while claiming Calvin Ford had already taken him as far as he could. Not everyone agrees with that view, but it has added even more debate. Sean Porter also weighed in, saying the move may simply come down to comfort, explaining that fighters sometimes change trainers not because of conflict, but because they connect better with a different coach. In Tank's case, if Jose Benavidez Sr. gives him the confidence, structure, and focus he needs for the next chapter of his career, then the switch makes sense without taking anything away from everything Calvin Ford helped him achieve.
I feel like he's comfortable with Jose, and just telling y'all what I know, sometimes that's all it takes. Whatever's going to get this light flipped up, turned on, and keep it on, sometimes it's comfort. I just need somebody that I feel comfortable with, that I can be myself with, and that, when I'm ready to move, they moving. When they ready to move, I'm moving. And I feel like he thinks he has that with.
They still believe Calvin Ford has been a valuable coach for Gervonta Davis and deserves credit for everything he contributed to Tank's career. In their view, Calvin was never just another trainer. He was a key part of the foundation that helped shape Tank into the fighter he is today. He guided him through important stages of his career, understood his strengths, and knew how to communicate with him better than most coaches could. Even if Tank now feels more comfortable working with Jose Benavidez Sr., that does not mean Calvin was the reason for the change. Their opinion is more balanced because they understand why Tank may want a fresh environment or a different voice while also recognizing the major role Calvin played in his success. They believe Tank's decision does not erase everything Calvin accomplished, and the respect he earned through years of hard work remains unchanged.
It's their business, but I don't add up the beef with him and Calvin Ford, really. I guess Calvin may have done an interview or two that Gervonta didn't like, but it's like,
That made no sense, man.
Look, I remember when I saw Truck Simpson spar before Truck tailed off, when he had promise. No offense, Truck, much love to you. But when Truck was 18, 19 years old, and it was like, oh, this kid, he has talent. He has real upside. He threw his punches in the same way Gervonta Davis did. He had a lot of the same kind of rhythm that Gervonta did. And that's what made me go, Calvin is a good trainer. Even though Calvin didn't move the needle for Jahan Ingram over the weekend. Jahan Ingram lost to Devin Cushing. Mm-hmm. It didn't look like Calvin had a big impact on him winning. He wound up losing to Devin Cushing. Devin Cushing, bigger guy anyways. But when I saw Truck do that, I go, okay, so Calvin has an imprint.
Fannin offered a different perspective on why Gervonta Davis decided to leave coach Calvin Ford, separating his opinion from everyone else's. Instead of focusing on personal issues or conflict, he suggested there was a deeper reason behind the decision, giving fans another way to understand one of the biggest changes in Tank's career.
The reasons that he's no longer with Coach Kenny and Coach Calvin. And I think it's an important thing to say because it's not all on Coach Calvin, and it's not all on Coach Kenny, and it's not all on Gervonta Davis. I have been paying attention to that camp for a while. I know people in that camp. I know people around that camp. And I can tell you without a doubt that the major issue with Gervonta Davis and that particular camp was the fact that there's so many paid snitches in his camp. It was replete with family members and other people who, whenever they got a piece of information about Gervonta Davis, would try to go out and give that information to somebody else in exchange.
Fannin believed the real reason behind Gervonta Davis leaving coach Calvin Ford had less to do with training, comfort, or building his legacy and more to do with trust. He suggested there were too many people talking behind the scenes, too much information leaking from the camp, and too many people sharing things that should have stayed private. If that is true, it gives fans a completely different view of Tank's decision. In that case, changing camps was not just about improving as a fighter, it was about finding an environment where he could trust the people around him and keep everything inside the team.
Looking up at the internet, seeing what's being said about him, hearing this information coming out about himself and saying, man, where is this coming from? Originally, and this was a couple years ago, I remember when Gervonta started getting upset with it and he started blocking people and getting mad about stuff. And he started telling Kenny and Calvin, that basically not to be announcing things, not to say things about who he's going to fight next or what he's going to do next, because Gervonta started getting irritated about that. I also know that Calvin Ford stopped talking to the media for a long period of time. Kenny Ellis stopped talking to the media about Gervonta in that way because they were appeasing Gervonta and Gervonta's desire to have that information kept in-house, right? So to the extent that they were having conversations that Gervonta Davis didn't want to have, they had nipped that in the bud several years ago. However, what happened is you have family members and other members in the gym that have connections with people that have Twitter pages, connections with people that have YouTube pages, and they continued, the people with the Twitter pages and the YouTube pages continue to pay these people money for inside information about Gervonta, and he got very
With constant fight negotiations, contract rumors, coaching changes, and pressure coming from every direction, Gervonta Davis may have felt the need to take greater control of his career. If he believed too many people in his previous camp were discussing his private business or allowing information to leak, then stepping away from Calvin Ford's team could have been his way of creating a more focused, trusted, and controlled environment.
With Gervonta is when you have spies around him in his family, in the gyms in Baltimore, you have people that leak information that are trying to harm him, right? Because people may be saying, man, where is Gervonta right now? Oh, I can find out where Gervonta Davis is. Get on the phone, call our boy. Is he in Baltimore? Is he? Nah, man, he's not in Baltimore. He's still over there and he's still in Florida. I heard last time I checked, he was at the gym. I gotta find me. I got him on my Find Me app. I can tell you where he is. And then all of a sudden you got girls setting him up. And you got girls knowing exactly where he is, what he's doing. They can time him, set him up, all kind of stuff because he felt like he got set up in that last crime, in that last case, right? He's like, he can prove that this was a setup. Well, who's going to help set him up? well-paid informants in your gym. So that's why a major reason why Gervonta was off looking for somebody else, looking for a new situation. So because he's obviously got, issues in Baltimore. He's got issues in Florida. So he's saying, look, man, I'm about to clear my deck. And I'm going to go out here. I'm going to train with somebody totally different, somebody in a different camp with different people around them that my family may not know that these people are.
Showbiz the adult reacted to Gervonta Davis leaving coach Calvin Ford and believed fans should not rush to judge the decision. He suggested that changing trainers is a normal part of a fighter's career and that people should wait to see the results before assuming the move was a mistake or that there was bad blood between Tank and his longtime coach.
Tank Davis on Team Benavidez merchandise. Now, he had a few videos out there showing Gervonta Tank Davis working out and all those things, and I promise you, he could not have made this announcement without Gervonta Tank Davis's blessing. For me, this makes it official, their relationship. And Gervonta Tank Davis and David Benavidez, they've shared their mutual respect for each other. You can tell that there's a genuine like and respect that they have with each other. So I think it's going to be organic. And as far as what to expect from Gervonta Tank Davis going to Team Benavidez, listen, dude, I have personal experience training with those guys and their product in that gym. And I'm telling you, man, what jumps out more than the facility itself and the hyperbaric chambers and shit where you can recover, and of course the food. I mean, it's just chef kissed, beautiful food over there. They definitely getting their grub on. But more than that, more than all of that is really the family culture. Once you become a part of that team, you're...
According to Showbiz the adult, Gervonta Davis made the change because he wanted a fresh voice in his corner and felt it was the right time to train in a different environment as he prepares for the biggest fights of his career. He explained that experienced fighters often benefit from new ideas and a different perspective, and he also pointed out that having a positive training environment can make a huge difference by keeping a fighter motivated, focused, and mentally prepared for the challenges ahead.
Family culture is like the biggest part of being there and what makes Team Benavidez unique. But on top of all of that is the work ethic. I'm over there throwing my hands and shit. I mean, I got exhausted quick. And I'm saying, listen, I'm nowhere near fighter shape. But what I'm saying is they're going to teach you form, make you learn it right now, and practice it at a high pace. And that just...
Showbiz the adult also suggested that Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis had been spending time working with rapper Chrisian Rock, and Tank may have felt their attention was no longer fully focused on boxing. For a fighter of Gervonta Davis's level, that can be a major factor. As one of the biggest stars in the sport, Tank needs a team that is completely committed to helping him prepare for the biggest fights of his career. If he believed everyone around him was not fully locked in on the same goal, it would make sense for him to look for a new environment where the entire focus is on his success and long-term legacy.
Jumped in Compton. I didn't have no fear in me, and I basically whooped everybody that intended on jumping me. I left without a scratch.
You're
and with
showing
all my
up.
chains, yeah.
But I mean, you're a gospel singer.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to fight for your life and defend yourself. So I wasn't going to lose my life, so I had to get to my car. Yeah.
That's a tough beginning to a story, Coach. No, that really is.
I couldn't believe because I didn't know her. You know what I'm saying? My wife watched her diligently, and I happened to peep at her show, and then when she got hot, but when she actually came in this gym, I felt the presence.
I mean, champions have trained in this ring, and this is where you're training now, and you're going to be fighting at Harris?
Yeah.
I mean, from being jumped in Compton to now signing a pro contract.
Some people believe Gervonta Davis looked at the situation and felt that his career was no longer receiving the full attention it deserved. If his coaches were spending time training Chrisian Rock while he was preparing for some of the biggest fights of his career, Tank may have taken that as a sign that the environment had changed. According to one boxing news page, Calvin Ford said the relationship between Tank, himself, and Kenny Ellis reached a breaking point after they decided to work with Chrisian Rock, with Tank believing they were becoming more focused on building their own profile and training others instead of giving his career their complete attention. As the discussion continues, fans are also looking ahead to Tank's return to the ring. Gary Russell Jr. believes Gervonta Davis still has all the talent needed to beat the best fighters in boxing, pointing to his power, speed, timing, and ring IQ. However, after changing trainers and dealing with constant outside attention, the biggest question is whether Tank will return fully focused and ready to perform at his highest level.
The bull fight me and I spank his ass, then what he gonna say? And let's see whose performance is more dominant. Since at this point, clearly motherfuckers ain't trying to willingly just fight me. I gotta beat somebody ass to you know what I'm saying? Show you that I beat his ass better than you. But if we can do that, that's cool.
So you go to 40 to fight Pitbull Cruz at 40.
I'm a fighter. I'll fight him. Would I fight him at 40? Yeah, I'll fight him at 40. You know, would I campaign at 40? No, I wouldn't. My
But
little
for
brother at
him,
40. But for him,
it's
personally,
different.
fuck yeah. I campaign at 40 just for that. I see him at 40 specifically for that, and then I go right back down to 35.
You know, me asking certain fighters about that comment that, you know, Tank said, I think I asked Matias. Matias said, you know, most likely Tank seen something in that performance, and that's why he said he would want to come back to fight Pitbull Cruz. What do you think that is, if that is the case?
I mean, he probably seen how easy it is to be able to outbox Pitbull. He's slow on his feet. He's a good, now don't get me wrong.
Like it's not the same Pitbull.
Greg Hackett shared a bold prediction about Gervonta Davis's return to the ring, saying he expects an explosive performance. His message was straightforward: when Tank steps back into the ring, someone is probably getting knocked out. Hackett believes Davis still has the power and finishing ability to end a fight at any moment, making his comeback one of the most anticipated events in boxing.
I mean, I'm just happy Tank coming back. Tank's exciting. All the guys are excited that Tank. There's always a big question mark when Tank get in the ring. Somebody about to get knocked the fuck up. I mean, I just hope it's a good guy. Somebody, you know, we can respect. I mean, he's been off for a while. How long has it been? Year and a half? 2 years?
It's been a year.
Year?
Yeah, he's only fought once in I think like 2 years though.
He fought a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Lamont for Pitbull after that.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a real good one. It should be one of them, though. It should be one of them or somebody. I'm not really hyped about Pitbull if it is Pitbull. You know what I mean?
Bill Haney also weighed in on a possible showdown between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney, making it clear that the opportunity is there if Tank truly wants the fight. He suggested there are no real obstacles preventing it from happening and believes the matchup can be made if both sides are willing. His message was simple: the ball is in Tank's court, and if he is serious about facing the biggest names in boxing, then a fight with Devin Haney is available.
You're a believer, and we want to do all that we can do to make these big bad fights happen. And I think that that's what Devin has shown. You know, on the list, Tank Davis, he sets at probably the number one. I mean, we've been had back and forth. I think that when you talk about him fighting a Jake Paul, if that was realistic, there's no realistic weight that Jake Paul could have ever come down to Devin's walk-around weight. So I consider this as real. Me and Al have had discussions. That's made it even more real. Never has anyone said anything about any dehydration, rehydration, or anything for that matter. So I think that it should be, and what it should be is a fair fight. You know, and that weight is to be determined, but it won't be anything under 144 pounds for nobody in the world.
Yo, Bill.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, my man?
Hey, King.
That's Dre.
It's Berto.
I know. King Dre.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, so recently you said something. You said that Shakur would be easy work for Devin. That sounded crazy to a lot of us. Is that you just speaking that way?
Well, it's harder. Listen, it's harder to get him in. It's harder to get him in the ring. It's been a fight to get him in the ring. I think that's going to be the hardest part for Debo to get him in the ring than to actually.
Meanwhile, Terrence Crawford explained why he believes Shakur Stevenson would defeat Gervonta Davis if they ever faced each other. Crawford pointed to Shakur's elite boxing skills, defensive ability, and ring IQ as the key advantages that could give him the edge over Tank. He also suggested that those same strengths may be the reason the fight never happens, believing Team Davis could see Shakur as a high-risk opponent with little room for mistakes.
Shakur versus Tank Davis. Tank never seemed particularly interested in making it happen. But since then, Shakur has ascended and now would seem to offer Tank a bigger reward for the risk than used to be the case. Shakur Tank, Is that still the biggest of all the possibilities in and around this weight class? Or has it been supplanted by Shakur and Devin?
Great point. You're right that Shakur has really elevated himself to a point that Tank would probably consider it, especially after the way Tank struggled against Roach. But I still think the biggest fight in this neighborhood is unquestionably the rematch between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney.
Then Carmelo Anthony asked Shakur Stevenson the question boxing fans have been waiting to hear. Will he ever fight Gervonta Davis? Shakur made it clear that he is not avoiding the matchup and understands why fans want to see it. He acknowledged that Tank is one of the biggest stars in boxing, making the fight one of the sport's biggest attractions. At the same time, Shakur explained that making a fight like this takes more than just calling each other out. It depends on the right timing, business negotiations, weight, financial agreements, and whether both teams are fully committed to making the matchup happen.
To pick his opponent, he would do it. But Tank would never come from 35 to 54.
Y'all got into it on social media around that time. Y'all was doing the back and forth. Is that just you being competitive, like when that happens? Or is it like...
I just really don't like that dude.
Why though?
Cause I just don't like him. Like I really don't like him. I don't like.
Just not your cup of tea. That's just not your.
I don't like nothing about him. You know, I don't like nothing about him. I just feel like, you know, he just one of these little arrogant little dudes that's, you know, using what he got to shield him. You know, like he got a lot of security guards around him, and he know, you know what I mean, he in the limelight and stuff like that, but in certain situations he wouldn't.
Sean Porter also shared his prediction for a potential Gervonta Davis versus Shakur Stevenson showdown, saying he does not expect Tank to simply walk in and knock Shakur out. He believes Stevenson is one of the best defensive fighters in boxing and has always felt that Tank respects his abilities more than many fans realize. Porter pointed out that whenever Shakur's name comes up, Tank's reaction suggests he understands just how difficult that matchup would be. He believes Shakur's elite amateur background, ring IQ, and defensive skills make him a unique challenge, meaning the fight would likely become a high-level chess match rather than a one-sided knockout. Despite the difficulties in making the bout, Porter still believes it will eventually happen because it is one of the biggest fights available. He argued that if Tank wants to prove he is still the top fighter in the division, there are few better opponents than Shakur. Porter also compared Tank's expected return after resolving his legal issues to Mike Tyson's comeback after prison, saying the excitement and anticipation surrounding Davis could be just as intense, with boxing fans eagerly waiting to see him back in the ring.
We'll see you in Tank, realistically.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I don't really like talking about him.
Yeah.
Cause like the way that he move is goofy to me. Like it's some weird shit. So like I really don't like speaking on him, but like if same thing that
fighting perspective.
Same thing that I said with T.O. If anybody got issues with me or feel some type of way about me, you could come see me on fight night and resolve every issue that you got.
Yeah.
I stand by that way.